Hello, and welcome to this course on dealing with trauma. Exposure-based techniques are widely used in the treatment of trauma to help people gradually confront and reduce their fear or avoidance of trauma-related memories, situations, or places. By facing these fears in a safe and controlled environment, individuals can learn that these triggers no longer pose a danger. The goal of exposure therapy is to reduce the intensity of the emotional and physical reactions that come with reminders of the trauma. One of the core aspects of exposure-based therapy is the gradual exposure to trauma-related memories. This process, also known as imaginal exposure, involves revisiting the traumatic event in a structured way, either by imagining or talking about the details of the trauma with a therapist. Over time, this helps the brain process the memory, making it feel less overwhelming. How gradual exposure works. In a safe, supportive environment, the individual is guided by a therapist to slowly revisit their traumatic memories. The goal is to reduce the emotional charge connected to these memories by facing them instead of avoiding them. At first, this can feel difficult, but with repetition, the distress linked to the memory begins to diminish. Exercise. Imaginal exposure. O. Recall the memory. The therapist asks the individual to describe the traumatic event in detail, either out loud or in writing. O. Stay with the memory. Instead of pushing it away or avoiding it, the person is encouraged to stay with the memory, allowing themselves to fully experience the emotions and sensations that arise. O. Process and reflect. After each session, the therapist helps the person reflect on the experience, focusing on how the emotions or sensations shifted over time. By repeatedly confronting the traumatic memory, the brain learns that these memories are not dangerous in themselves. Over time, the emotional intensity tied to the memory weakens, and the individual gains a greater sense of control over their responses. In vivo exposure involves confronting real-life situations, places, or objects that are linked to the trauma. People with trauma often avoid these triggers because they fear they will be overwhelming or dangerous. However, this avoidance reinforces the fear and limits their ability to function in everyday life. In vivo exposure helps reduce this avoidance by allowing individuals to face these situations in a gradual, controlled manner. How in vivo exposure works. In this type of exposure, the person is encouraged to gradually face the situations they have been avoiding. These situations could range from going to a place that reminds them of the trauma, to interacting with people or activities that trigger anxiety. The goal is to stay in the situation until the anxiety naturally decreases, showing the brain that the feared situation is not actually dangerous. Exercise. Fear hierarchy. O. Create a list of feared situations. The individual and therapist work together to make a list of situations or places they have been avoiding, starting with less challenging tasks and gradually moving to more difficult ones. Start small. Begin by confronting the least feared situation on the list. For example, if someone avoids driving after a car accident, they might start by sitting in a parked car without driving. O. Gradual exposure. Once the person feels more comfortable with the first task, they move to the next item on the list, like driving around the block. Each step is repeated until the fear decreases, and they no longer feel the need to avoid the situation. Track progress. The individual tracks their anxiety levels before, during, and after each exposure. Over time, they will notice their anxiety decreasing with each repeated exposure. In vivo exposure is highly effective because it allows the person to directly face the things they fear in real-world settings. With practice, they regain confidence in their ability to cope, and the situations that once triggered anxiety become more manageable. Why exposure-based techniques work. Exposure-based techniques work by helping the brain unlearn the fear response that it has associated with the trauma. When people repeatedly avoid their triggers, their brain continues to reinforce the belief that these triggers are dangerous. However, by confronting these triggers in a controlled way, they show their brain that these memories, situations, or places are not a threat. Over time, the emotional intensity of the trauma diminishes, and individuals feel more in control. Key benefits. Reduces avoidance behaviors that interfere with daily life. Helps people feel more in control of their reactions. Weakens the emotional and physical intensity of trauma reminders. improves overall confidence in coping with trauma-related fears. These videos are made possible thanks to our amazing sponsors. Meet anyone for anything on the Introducer app. Whether you're looking for friends, romance, or something in between, Introducer has you covered. Download for free today. Experience a new heaven and a new earth in a virtual paradise and global community. Church has never looked like this. Your contribution can bring Earth 2.0 to life. Finally, if you'd prefer to watch these videos without ads, visit our Mental Wellness Hub on the Happy app. Click the links in the description. Finally, although this course was free for you, it was not free to get it to you. Please consider giving a small donation to help spread these courses around the world to those most in need. The link is in the description. See you in the next lesson.